Hey, welcome back. You know that feeling when you're rummaging through an old drawer, maybe looking for a charger, and you find some weird, forgotten gadget? You turn it over in your hands. The connectors are rusty. You have no idea what it was for, but it clearly had a purpose. Now, imagine that drawer is 2,000 years old, and it's not in your apartment, but buried under the dust of Baghdad. And the gadget you find looks suspiciously like a battery. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Curiosity Compendium. Today, we're diving into one of archaeology's most tantalizing enigmas, a small clay pot that has sparked a century of debate. Did the ancient Parthians, 2 millennia ago, stumble upon the principles of electricity? Or is this a classic case of us seeing what we want to see in the past? So, let's set the scene. It's 1936, in the village of Khujut Rabu, just outside modern-day Baghdad. Workers are laying railway tracks, their shovels clinking against the earth when they hit something. They uncover an ancient tomb, sealed for centuries. Among the typical relics, pottery, coins, some bronze, archaeologist Wilhelm König finds a few peculiar objects. They're simple, unassuming things. A 5-inch tall clay jar, about the size of a man's fist. Inside it, a copper cylinder, carefully soldered with a 60 to 40 tin lead alloy. And inside that cylinder, an iron rod, suspended by an asphalt plug that seals the top of the jar. The iron rod is corroded, yes, but it's clear it was completely isolated from the copper by that asphalt stopper. The arrangement is too specific, too deliberate. It looks, for all the world, like a primitive galvanic cell. A battery. Now, König was an Austrian, working at the Iraq Museum. When he published his theory years later, it sent ripples through the historical community. The objects were dated to the Parthian period, roughly 250 BCE to 250 CE. This was an empire known as a crossroads of trade, a cultural melting pot between the Roman and Persian worlds. But inventors? Electrochemists? That wasn't in the history books. The science behind the claim is actually the most straightforward part. If you fill a jar like that with an acidic or alkaline liquid, say, vinegar or grape juice, or even lemon juice, something fascinating happens. The acidic liquid acts as an electrolyte. The iron rod and the copper cylinder become electrodes. A chemical reaction occurs. The acid attacks the iron, causing it to release electrons. Those electrons flow through the electrolyte to the copper, creating a potential difference, a voltage. If you connect the iron and the copper with a wire, a small electric current will flow. It's basic electrochemistry. Replicas built to these exact specifications have consistently produced between 0.8 and 2 volts of electricity. Not enough to power a light bulb, but enough for a tangible, mysterious tingle. So, the Baghdad battery works. That's not really in dispute. The real, burning question is, did the Parthians know it worked? And if so, what on earth were they using it for? This is where we leave the clean world of science and step into the murky, exciting realm of interpretation. One of the most popular theories is electroplating. The idea is that these ancient artisans could have used a series of these cells to create a small current, enough to deposit a thin layer of gold or silver onto another metal object, like a statue or a piece of jewelry. We know the Parthians, and later the Sasanians who also occupied the region, were master metalworkers. We found objects from that time and place that appear to be gold-plated. The conventional explanation is that they used mercury gilding, a dangerous but effective technique. But could electroplating have been an alternative, lost method? It's a compelling thought. The idea of a craftsman in a sunlit workshop using the power of fermented fruit to make a ring shimmer. But here's the catch. Not a single Baghdad battery has ever been found with attached wires or electrodes, or any apparatus that would clearly indicate its use in a circuit. No electroplated objects have been conclusively linked to the use of such batteries. The asphalt seal is perfect for holding an electrode in place, but it's also perfect for sealing a scroll, which leads us to the skeptical and perhaps more widely accepted counter-theory. Many mainstream archaeologists propose these were simply storage containers for sacred scrolls. The iron rod, a corroded piece of a scroll holder. The copper cylinder, a protective case for the precious papyrus or parchment. The asphalt plug, just a lid. It's a perfectly logical, mundane explanation. After all, we find similar sealed vessels used for document storage elsewhere. The proponents of this theory argue that if these were batteries, we'd find more evidence, more variety in design, some mention in texts, something. The silence, they say, is deafening. But I have to tell you, as an engineer, the scroll explanation leaves me with questions, too. Why go through the immense trouble of constructing a soldered copper cylinder just to hold a scroll that could be stored in a simple clay tube? The materials and craftsmanship seem over-engineered for simple storage. And that asphalt plug, which so perfectly isolates the two metals, it feels intentional. Maybe the truth lies in a space between these poles. Perhaps the object had a primary, mundane purpose, storage. But isn't it possible that someone, at some point, noticed a strange sensation? That a craftsman, his hands wet with vinegar used for cleaning, touched both the iron and the copper and felt a buzz? That a priest, storing a scroll in a damp jar, observed a tingling and attributed it to a divine presence? Discovery isn't always a eureka moment in a lab. Sometimes it's a fleeting, unexplained phenomenon, noted and then forgotten, or shrouded in ritual. The Parthians weren't trying to build a power grid, but they were brilliant observers of the natural world. Could they have harnessed this effect for something we haven't even considered? Maybe for medical purposes. The ancient Greeks used electric fish to numb pain. Or for religious ceremony, a statue that delivers a tiny, awe-inspiring shock to a devotee. Sitting here in my New York apartment, surrounded by a jungle of cables and devices that all demand their own specific voltage, I find this humble clay jar utterly profound. We have a tendency to view history as a linear march of progress, a straight line from ignorance to our current enlightened state. But objects like the Baghdad battery suggest something else. They hint at a history that is more like a sprawling web, with threads of knowledge discovered, lost, rediscovered, and sometimes ignored. The Parthian craftsman who soldered that copper cylinder wasn't thinking about volts and amps, but in his pursuit of a different goal, be it preservation, beauty, or ritual, he may have accidentally built a bridge to a future he could never comprehend. That, to me, is the real magic of this artifact. It's not proof of ancient alien visitors or a lost super-civilization. It's something better. It's evidence of human curiosity as a constant. It's a reminder that the fundamental forces of our universe, like electricity, have always been there, whispering. And every so often, across the centuries, someone listens closely enough to hear a hint of their song. So, the next time you plug in your phone, think about that clay pot. Think about the fact that the spark of discovery can take the most unexpected forms. It can be as grand as a lightning bolt, or as quiet as a bit of vinegar in an old jar, waiting 2,000 years for us to wonder about it. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. If you enjoyed wondering about the Baghdad battery with me, please do share this episode with a curious friend. It truly helps the show grow. For more stories from the crossroads of history, science, and human ingenuity, make sure you're subscribed to the Curiosity Compendium from Light Not Studios. You can find more of our work and support independent storytelling by visiting Light Not Studios at https://www.lightnotstudios.com. Until next time, stay curious, my friends.